A timeout called by Indiana for a 3. Felt like they got robbed. Caitlin Clark, everything going Indiana's way at this moment.
You won't believe what just happened. Caitlin Clark, yes, on the bench, not even in the game, just found herself at the center of one of the weirdest, funniest, and most debated moments of the season. 1 second she's cheering from the sideline, the next she's grimacing like she just got hacked, driving to the basket. All because of her own assistant coach. Yeah, you heard me right. This is the rare bench foul, and it's got fans split right down the middle. Let's break it all down. This all went down in the middle of an intense Fever game. The pace was high, the crowd was locked in, and everyone was riding the energy, until this freak accident stopped the vibe cold.
Again, just like I said last night, if you take away the 4 victories over the Chicago Sky, this team is 14-14.
Assistant coach Karima Christmas Kelly jumped up in the middle of the action, probably reacting to a big play, when she accidentally stepped right on Caitlin Clark's foot. Now, this wasn't a light tap or a little brush by. From the video, it looked like a solid, full-weight stomp, the kind that makes you immediately pull your foot back in shock. And because Clark has always worn her emotions on her sleeve, you could see the pain hit her face instantly. She winced, grabbed for her foot, and for a moment, every Fever fan watching probably had that sinking, oh no feeling in their stomach. This was already dramatic because Clark hasn't played in multiple games due to her lingering groin injury. The last thing anyone wanted to see was her taking another hit, especially from her own sideline. Of course, the clip hit social media within minutes, and that's when the real firestorm began. Half of the internet jumped to Clark's defense, pointing out that it looked painful and that anyone, rookie or veteran, would react the same way if a full-grown adult accidentally stomped their foot. They reminded everyone that even a minor knock can hurt like crazy if you're already dealing with a lower body injury. But the other half? Oh, they were ready to pounce. These are the fans who've been saying for months that Clark sometimes sells contact on the court. They pointed to her facial expressions, her over-the-top reactions after fouls, and now this moment as proof that she's the WNBA's queen of the dramatics. It became a classic sports debate. Was she genuinely in pain, or was this just another chapter in the Caitlin Clark sell the moment playbook? Either way, it got people talking, and the fact that she was fouled by her own coach made it even more meme-worthy. This moment instantly went from funny to nerve-wracking when fans noticed Caitlin's reaction wasn't just about her foot getting stepped on. Sure, the accidental stomp by Karima Christmas Kelly hurt. That was obvious from her grimace. But as the assistant coach helped her shift back toward her seat, sharp-eyed viewers noticed something else. Clark's movement looked cautious. She was favoring her right side ever so slightly. That's the same side where she's been battling a lingering groin strain for weeks, a strain that's already kept her out of 10 straight games. And if you know anything about groin injuries, you know they can flare up instantly. All it takes is one awkward twist, one unexpected jolt, and you're right back where you started in rehab. It's why this moment hit Fever fans so hard. They've already been holding their breath every time Clark plants or pivots in warm-ups. To see her wincing and adjusting her steps, even from something that happened on the sideline, was enough to set off alarms across Indiana. The cameras stayed on her as she settled into her chair, her expression still tight, her body language saying, "That did not feel good." Then came the glimmer of relief. Clark glanced over at Christmas Kelly, cracked a small grin, and gave that "it's okay" nod. But even then, the concern wasn't gone. This wasn't a player milking attention. It was someone who's been living in the frustrating cycle of recovery, setback, and ramp-up all season. And that's why even the tiniest incident feels like it could tip the scales in the wrong direction. If you've been following Indiana closely, you know the Fever have been walking a razor-thin line with Caitlin Clark's injury management. Head coach Stephanie White and the training staff have made one thing clear. There will be no rushing back just to satisfy hype or ticket sales. Clark isn't just a player for this season. She's the foundation of the franchise for years to come. That means any flare-up, any tweak, any unplanned discomfort gets treated with maximum caution. It's why she's been sitting for weeks instead of pushing through pain. It's why she's still traveling with the team but not suiting up. And it's why even something as silly as a sideline foot stomp gets treated seriously. You have to understand, groin injuries are tricky. They're not like a simple bruise where you can just walk it off. They affect every movement, sprinting, cutting, even just standing up from a chair. And if you re-aggravate them, you risk adding weeks or months to recovery.
We have the Chicago Sky on the horizon. Right around the corner, the Chicago Sky are coming to town. And who can we rely on to continuously pick us up when we are feeling down? Oh, it's the Chicago Sky. It is the Chicago. If we feel bad, they feel worse.
So the Fever aren't thinking, she's smiling now, she's fine. They're thinking, let's make absolutely sure this didn't undo her progress. This is especially important because of where Indiana is in the season. They're in the playoff hunt, yes. But the postseason means nothing if Clark isn't ready. They've proven they can survive without her, but deep down, everyone knows their ceiling changes completely when number 22 is back on the court. That's why these oops moments on the sideline are still treated like potential turning points. Here's the thing. This wasn't just a funny accident between an assistant coach and a superstar. This moment is actually a little microcosm of what it means to be Caitlin Clark right now. First, it's the reality of living under the spotlight. Every single thing that happens to her, on the court or off, becomes content, becomes debate, becomes the talking point. If a bench player got stepped on, we'd probably never hear about it. But because it's Clark, it's replayed on national TV, it's clipped on Twitter, and it's analyzed from every angle. That's the double-edged sword of being the face of the WNBA. The attention never stops. Second, it's a reminder of just how valuable she is. The fact that a random sideline accident caused thousands of fans to instantly hold their breath says it all. You don't get that reaction unless you're the heart of the franchise. People know that without Clark, the Fever can win games, but with her, they can actually make noise in the playoffs. That's why her health, right down to a single stomped foot, feels like the pulse of the season. Third, it's about team culture. The way Christmas Kelly reacted, immediately helping her up, checking on her, staying by her side, shows the trust and care within this group. And the fact that Clark was smiling and chatting with her just minutes later, that's the sign of a team that's not just playing basketball together, but actually likes each other. That matters when you're trying to survive the grind of a long season. And finally, it's a warning to the rest of the league. This team is staying loose, staying connected, and keeping their chemistry alive, even without their biggest star on the floor. If they can win games now, imagine what happens when Clark returns. The smiles and laughter you saw after this bench foul? That's the kind of energy that can carry over into a playoff run. So yeah, maybe it was just a goofy sideline mishap. But if you zoom out, it's a snapshot of a player who's under constant watch, a team that's protecting its future at all costs, and a fan base that knows every second without Caitlin Clark is a second too long.
But nowhere in there is it, let's literally give the coaching version of kryptonite to Steph Curry, to Magic Johnson, to Michael Jordan. This snippet was put out by the Indiana Fever, and call it my darkness retreat, Aaron Rodgers. Call it me embracing the darkness, Scott Agnes.